Kismet is an anthropomorphic robotic head that is specialized for face-to-face interaction between humans and this robot. So a lot of the sensors, the actuators, the degrees of freedom have all been specialized for sending as well as receiving the social cues that people very naturally expect when talking to someone face-to-face. I wanted to essentially build the simplest robot I could that focused on the key capabilities that I thought were the most critical to this intimate human-style interaction that would happen between something like a mother and her infant. Kismet's interactions are fundamentally affective, meaning they're emotional, and physical. So it's very, very much like an infant or even something like a pet interacting with a person in this very social way. Kismet has a very expressive and complicated face. There are a total of 21 motors that have been packed all into Kismet's head and neck system. That's basically, I think, the bare minimum to try to capture the full range of simple human facial expressions. People, of course, can do much more than that. As far as sensors are concerned, the robot can perceive people through vision. There are actually 4 cameras on the robot. There is a camera behind each eyeball that you see that has a long focal length lens, which basically means the robot has a very magnified view of the scene. So for things like looking at a person's face at high resolution, so it can pick out things like eyes and so forth. There's a camera mounted between the eyes as well as in the nose, which is a wide field of view camera, which gives the robot a decent sized periphery so it can sense, if somebody's walking in the background and so forth. 9 computers alone are used for vision. Vision is very computationally extensive, and even as such, Kismet's visual system is a very simple vision system. There's a microphone that is essentially attached to the robot's auditory system that you wear. It's a lavalier microphone. The reason why we use that instead of the microphones on the robot's own head is that there's a lot of noise in this room, and the noise can corrupt the speech signal, so it's difficult for the robot to understand what you're saying. But by having a lavalier, it's very close to your mouth, and we can get a much cleaner signal.
Hello, Kismet.
One computer is used to process the speech signal coming in, and what we're doing right now is we're looking at the prosody of a person's voice, so the energy and the pitch over time, as opposed to worrying about phonemes. We are getting that information, but we're not using it just yet. There's another computer that's running the voice synthesizer, which allows the robot to actually vocalize. And we've implemented some software that allows the robot to change its voice quality to mirror its emotional state. So the robot can actually sound happy, sound sad, sound angry, and so forth. Our robots, and Kismet in particular, has continually evolved since the last 3 years that we've built, adding new degrees of freedom, new sensors, as well as adding new computers and new code to the robot. And they all happen concurrently. So it's not the case that you first build the robot and then you start to program it. You construct a bit, you program it, you construct a bit, you program it. You continue to kind of layer these things on together, but we're continually trying to push what the robot can do over time. In the very, very, very early steps, I mean, you really start off with essentially a vision of the blue sky, what you really want to try to build. And for me, for Kismet, it was trying to build what I would call a socially intelligent robot. Humans are a social species. Everything we do almost is couched in this social interaction, being as a part of society, interacting with other people. If we want to build a robot that can interact with people, communicate with people, and learn from people, it has to also be social, because that's the way that people are going to try to teach it and the way they're going to try to communicate to it. I view my work with Kismet as really trying to pursue building a sociable machine. Following ideas and theories from developmental psychology, from evolution, and putting these theories into the robot has the advantage of making the robot's behavior familiar because it's essentially lifelike. So we've brought in human subjects who've never interacted with the robot before to engage the robot, to evaluate, do they find the interaction enjoyable and natural.
You're such a cute little robot. Du bist so süß.
For the human side of the teaching equation, they're going to have to know if the robot understood them. And this is done through the robot's expressive abilities.
This is a watch that my girlfriend gave me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look, it's got a little blue light in it, too.
Very good, Kismet.
Kismet can express in 3 modalities. One is through tone of voice. So we can actually have the robot sound angry when it's angry, sound sad when it's sad, and so forth. Another is through facial expression, smiling when it's happy, frowning when it's sad, and so forth. And body posture is also critical. So approaching, leaning forward when it likes something, withdrawing when it doesn't like something. So another important skill for the robot to be able to learn from people is being able to recognize communicative intent.
Ja, du.
So is a person praising the robot? Is a person scolding the robot? How can this be used as reinforcement to shape the robot's behavior?
Tu es enfant très, très bon.
And the way we've done that with Kismet right now is to have the robot recognize by tone of voice. Are you praising it? Are you scolding it?
Where'd you put your body?
So it's not only the ability to be robust and to perform tasks in a complex world and to be able to understand language, but to understand empathy, to be able to relate to people, to be able to form friendships.
Is your favorite color blue?
These are the aspects that I consider to be intimately a part of a sociable machine.
No, stop. No, I gotta talk now. No, stop. Listen to me, I think we have something going on. Oh, I think there's something here between us. Stop, you gotta let me talk. Stop. Shh. Kismet, I think we got something going on here. You and me.
Because Kismet exists in a social world, it has access to these special kinds of interactions that I believe could play such a critical and beneficial role in promoting the robot's own development and continued learning.